All right, cyber traders, welcome on back to put a bow on this week here, this Friday. I was about to say September. How about that? Friday, January 6th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Michael and Mark still with us here. Jeff just before as well. Leda included. Grant and Dan and all of us inside the live trading room. Great to see all of you folks there. Great to have all of us back. If you're joining me back on Facebook Live or YouTube, hey, market's been pushing right on our way up across this afternoon so far. Hey, since the morning they've been pushing up, but like a typical Friday, you tend to see a really flat market heading into the mid morning, the late morning afterwards. So, really, like heading into this meeting now, we're finally, starting to get a little bit more traction across the SPY, breaking new highs. Looking at Chinese ETF yin, also China markets seem to be near the highs as well. That seems to be building actually a Fausto flag on the daily chart. So, really, let me just bring that to your attention at first. Just I'm catching this from the corner of my eye. Yin on the daily chart. This is a Chinese ETF. Now, very similar to like the S&P and the SPY. Well, of course, looking at this, trying to break above multi-day highs back from Wednesday and Thursday this week. This could lead to a pretty strong close. Like, not to say like next week continuation perfectly, but for this afternoon, for Friday. I mean, you have a lot of options expiring today. So with that, there could be some extra activity, going into this afternoon. So let's start off with the stock, perhaps with the China markets, perhaps with the U.S. markets as well. One of my favorites, NEO, it's actually still down over 5%. Hey, China markets gapped down quite a bit early this morning. So NEO was one of a few that were down big. IQ, this is still really weak. Actually, on the top of the losers list nearly. So this actually still looks like a really good trade, but as a short. Let's see if there's anything holding near the highs, though. Kind of moving with the S&P, kind of moving with China markets. Yin or FXI, different ETFs there. Billy, Chinese stock moved up pretty nicely, at least heading into the mid to late morning. Now it looks like it kind of fizzled out a little bit, so I'm not too bullish on that right now. XPEV, kind of like IQ, similar move towards the lows. So it's a mixed bag. I mean, nothing really standing out that well right now, out of at least the China stocks for right now. But, there is one stock going into this meeting that we had our eyes on. It was one that we had our eyes on from the morning. It was a dud for a long time up until like really the last 30 minutes, 45 minutes. The SPRB trade. So I have this lined up, prepped up for you folks right now. I really put a focus on this going into the open. And after it broke back below the historical level off 289, it was a done deal. So I ended up going break even on this trade within the first 5 minutes of the market opening up. I'm very happy I ended up going break even, but clearly didn't get what I wanted at the time. Broke down really sharply, but even at 250, I had no interest in this trade. I was expecting this stock to make a pretty strong move down towards my next set of historical levels, the dashed purple here, roughly off of 220, 228. So at that point, I ended up jumping in long heading into this afternoon, like just right off that 225. Led to a good squeeze. It took its time. Normally, when a stock isn't making that big move that you'd like, odds are it's not going to. But I kind of had to think, so long as it's still holding higher lows and really holding my levels, I'll hang on to it, I reckon, right? I don't want to go against my first instinct and, just close the trade out just to close it. So I hung on. Thankfully for this trade, it ended up holding over my big levels, ended up squeezing up towards 250. And with that, I mean, hey, let's see if this can keep pushing up, not just for my sake, but for all of us here inside this live trading room. So it was a dud from the morning session, folks. I mean, it popped at first, but then it pulled back. The SPRB, there could be a second life on this trade, perhaps to make the next move up closer to the VWAP price, right off at 267 or 269. All right. So we'll put this on our list, at least for right now, that second win type of move. I'm going to track this, though, as we go through. If this ends up kind of holding back under 250 and showing a little weakness here, then I may look to pull the plug on my trade and perhaps re-enter over time, but we'll see. All right. MLEC, this stock is up 150 near percent right now. It was up more, but, this ended up getting halted a bunch of times on the way up. Hey, we saw Cala make a similar type of move and all these different other cheap runners over the last week. I guess this joins it, but anytime you see a stock getting halted repetitively, it really doesn't provide like a great like trade based off a strategy. You're kind of just gambling. You're kind of just hoping. So if you're trading this type of stock, I hope that that that's what you're doing. But Otherwise, I mean, yeah, maybe you can make a few bucks on the trade, but I don't know. I have other business to handle here in this market. I feel like there's other stocks that we could look to follow that are easier on the eyes. All right, could be MMV here, Multi Metaverse Holdings. Oof, this thing took a huge pop and drop earlier. I didn't even realize this until now. So ended up running up off of 10, topped off at like, 18 bucks nearly, pulled all the way back down below 10, below 8. Just got halted right now at the VWAP. And it's probably going to hold there and then get halted on the way down after. I'm not too interested in this. This is exactly like we just talked about on the other one. All right, 10H, Hollow. We'll keep kind of going down the gainer side for right now. The CTMX. This was pretty active in pre-market. Active is like the first step. Active doesn't always mean pretty trend. This was very choppy going into 8 o'clock. Afterwards, it just looked rugged. So for as active as it was, and it could have popped up afterwards, I just didn't really have much of a focus on this trade going into the open. So thankfully, I really didn't miss much on this one. Ended up making like a bounce now, kind of similar to the SPRB perhaps. And it has a good order book, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like that staticky, rugged type of move. I feel like we have other stocks that we could do better on. AEHR, we've done really well in this stock, breaking all-time highs. I think it was last year it was, if I'm not mistaken, 2021 perhaps otherwise. But yeah, here it ended up running back up. But yeah, AEHR has been a really nice trade off of news. I don't know the news that came out on this one. Pardon me for that. And could have been earnings, could have been firms with an upgrade in price, whatever the case may be. Led to a nice pop after the market opened up. And although it broke higher here, it just made a rounded top and came back down. WWE, I mean, just given the pop that we had in the after hours, it was of interest. I think it got halted off of news pending earlier this morning. I didn't check to see the news out on that actually. Just it's funny enough. I'll just double check right now really quickly. There's been a lot of bad stuff going on with Vince McMahon and all that. So looks like I think he's returning back to the board. That could be the news. So led to an initial pop. Listen, I'll tell you, I mean, hey, talking about swing trading and our swing trading pro course, which will continue in about a 2 weeks time. WWE, it's not one on top of my radar. So, I'm sure we'll slip it in there. But if anything as far as a seasonal play, you get their big like WrestleMania event in April, I think. It's typically a good seasonal play, WWE. Right around now, coming off the holidays into their like big event in April. A little food for thought. That's all. I think there was some speculation about a sale also. I think to NBC or something. So keep it in mind. RCM, not doing a whole lot right now. I mean, it made a nice move earlier this morning. I take half out on my SPRB right now, actually. So I ended up losing all my profit I had from the morning. I built my cushion back up, and it's still doing all right. But now at this point, getting half out on SPRB only helps the cause. So I'll take it. I know I'm likely not going to hit my days paid today. I don't want to say I know I'm not going to hit it. So you never know, right? You always want to have hope with that. But pretty likely we're not going to get there. And I'm content with that. But as long as we have, keep chipping away accordingly. All right. So let's see what else we got, though, across the gainer side, folks. If there's anything else looking good. AUPH popped up earlier, but now flat. And that just about does it, really. No other real familiar names across the gainer side right now. Rumble, RUM, that actually is a familiar name. Just over like a couple months back, we were following this. So it's trending upward right now, and it does have a decent spread for the meantime. Tier size is on level 2, not terrible either. So I'll come back to this. It's only trading like 900,000 shares, so I wish it was trading more. But, perhaps I'll slip this on our list at the end. If anything, I only have the SBRB on the main list so far, so I'm sure I'll probably slip this on at the back end, but let's see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better, on the loser side with the market cruising on up right now. It's going to be tough for us to expect for there to be a whole lot on this side. But Fate, hey, talking about a short, this stock was down big in pre-market, dropped off later on after the market had opened up. And as you can see right now, holding off the VWAP price, pulling back down. Hey, it's tradable, right? So this, more than anything, I do like. Put this on our watch list here. ATAI, not a whole lot to write home about on that one. We'll jump back to IQ. We talked about this in the beginning of our meeting, briefly kind of glossing over it. So I'll tell you, for as much as this ran up, you'd like to expect for this to have a red day or at least a pullback and whatnot. So here we are now, down over 15% at the lows. So should the China markets look to, not continue and look to hold lower highs or, fail to top off and pull back, that could provide an extra little kick to this IQ short, perhaps. So, yeah, I'll put IQ on our main watch list as a possible short. LI, you can clearly tell I also had a big interest in LI today, and it ended up topping off over and under the 21 level. From there, pulled back. Right now it's just flat here in the meantime, so not doing a whole lot now. All right, so I think that just about wraps it up, folks. If there's anything else left, up, down, left, right, more than 5%, type it in the chat board. Just let me know. Mark says, I'm a wrestling fan. I used to be a big wrestling fan back in the day, so I do know. All right. Let me know if there's anything else, folks, just for all of us on social media. Let me check Benzinga Pro before we wrap up. Put the market in a camel clutch, Mark. How about that before we finish up this week? That's what I'm looking for. G-Sun, nice little squeeze up here. How about that? Up over 47%. Ended up making a nice squeeze up towards 190. I would assume resistance off of 2. 11,000 share order right off the highs pretty much. So I'd say both, but 2 being a whole number, that should be a pretty strong level. I don't know if I skipped over this or whatnot, but I'm happy I caught it now. We'll definitely put G-Sun on the top of our list. All right. I think that'll just about do it, folks. I don't got much else here. I'm going to check out Hollow one last time, Rumble one last time, and that'll do. Yeah, Hollow shook back down, so that's a done deal. And Rumble, I guess at this point, we don't have a big list. Spreads here are still pretty good, so I do appreciate that. We'll put this on our watch list right now. It's also at the highs, not just from yesterday, but also back from Wednesday this week. So basically weekly highs, you could say as well. A little extra kick on that. Scott saying ORMP dropping. Yeah, dropping a little bit, little iceberg on the ask. I like seeing that. It's hard to borrow, though. I don't think that we could really short it, though, or at least I can on TradeStation. But nonetheless, though, it could be a good play if you can get the shares for it. We'll keep it on our side list for right now, Scott. If the spreads were better on this trade, I'd be a lot more inclined to follow it. All right, folks, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, enjoy the weekend. If you have any questions just prior to joining us inside our live trading room, just send over a quick email, josh@c2trading.com. I have to get back to a couple of us that had sent over from early this morning, so I appreciate you folks just writing me. Keep them coming, though. Again, josh@c2trading.com is my email. If you're interested in joining us inside our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream to get yourself started. I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30, folks, for Michael, Ravina, Sam, and Scott, and Grant, and all of us there live. I'll be in the chat board at least up until 3:30. So, hey, if there's anything I'll look to call it out. All right, folks, I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.